Hello, Sacred Soul community. It's been a while since I've been on and been visible. We just had the book launch, the Telesummit leading up to it for Mary Magdalene Unveiled, this anthology that was created together in collaboration with other women, 33 of us all together, and midwifed by Astara Jane Ashley from Flower of Life Press. It's been a journey, just feeling into the complexity of everything that's coming up for me, and wanted to share because it really, anything that I'm going through personally, it's because it's also a collective story. That's what it means to be a priestess, to be a high priestess on this path, is that, to walk the walk and talk the talk is to heal the wounds that come up, and they usually come up just a little bit before it comes up in the collective, or sometimes months, sometimes years, but it's being the way shower for these healings. And that really is what my chapter is about, is the initiations on the high priestess path, and the healing of the wounds, the alchemizing of the wounds that when they surface, that come to be released, and doing this on a personal level through initiation after initiation after initiation, which is soul work, soul work, soul work, shadow work, shadow work, shadow work, through all the layers and levels, and returning to this place of love, love without conditions, which we didn't inherit that, right? Love without codependency, we didn't inherit that. Like, these are wounds that are so deep in our lineage, and these half loves, these loves that are scraps, and versus like full overflowing cups of love and deserving and worthiness, right? Love and worthiness. So this worthiness wound has come to the surface through this book launch, through being visible and being seen and being recognized and shining in my voice, in my magnetism, and my gifts, and my spiritual authority. And recognizing that, all this that's coming up to be energetically shifted and cleared, like this happens all the time. This is, what I'm feeling in the collective, this worthiness wound, this deserving, is because why it was coming up in me, it was because it's coming up in the collective. And it was this image, this idea of feast day yesterday, and some worthiness wounds that were coming up for me. And Mary Magdalene feast day is also the other image that came up all the time, was the image of the Last Supper, and recognizing that these really go together as being able to feel worthy to have a seat at this table of love. That's what it was. It was a table of love, right? And being served by the divine, right? Being served, not having to take care of myself, being served, right? And then a feast, like Mary Magdalene feast, like having a feast instead of scraps of love. And how many times, have I known love that's fine and settled for fine, or been offered half love, right? Because we can only give what we know how to give to ourselves. This is a collective wound. It's a personal wound, but it's a collective wound because we are healing this at a soul level. So as I'm working on this, I'm also feeling this through my soul lineage too, right? The masculines, the feminines, within my soul lineage are working on these wounds too. And these half-loves that have been given to me where they can only meet so far, or maybe love with, conditions, love with dependencies, and recognizing that I had this fear when I first said yes to this book, and then also a big contraction of it again when it was right before we were getting ready to launch it, which was the visibility wound. But then after that, it was this fear of leaving others behind. And then this deep feeling of loneliness. And I couldn't figure out where this was coming from until yesterday and today, where recognizing that as the divine feminine is rising, being recognized, being seen, visible for her spiritual gifts, her voice, there's this masculine wound within me, right? This is my feminine, my masculine within me, that a piece felt left behind, left out, right? So when the masculine, as the divine feminine is rising, the masculine is not knowing where they belong anymore, what their place is, what roles they have, right? Because the feminine has changed in her value and her worth and her independence. And, she's probably I'm really exhausted being super independent, right? Recognizing that I have done so much on my own for so long, and because that trust was broken, right? Because as Mary Magdalene sat next to Jesus at the Last Supper, and he recognized her in her glory, in her spiritual feminine empowerment, for her gifts, for her sacredness, there was an ache, a loss, a separation, an abandonment feeling within the masculine of being left behind, of not feeling worthy, of envy, of jealousy, right? Resentment. And this is the wound that has continued to trickle down for thousands of years. When the feminine rises, when the feminine stands in her wild, stands in her light, stands in her bright, right? There's something within us, our masculine, or something outside of us that wants to no. So I was feeling that today. And feeling this half love and scraps and brokenness of this trust between my inner masculine and my inner feminine. And going back to that worthiness wound, right? Trustworthy. So that worthiness of trust, worthy that we're all meant to be sitting at this table of love. We're all worthy to be served by the divine. We're all worthy to feast from this love, this not scraps, not half love, not love with condition, not love with restriction, but this full, filling love. Yeah. And we're coming back to that. That is the sacred union wound. That is the separation wound. And we're coming back to that, to the wholeness, to that inner sacred union, so that it reflects our outer sacred unions and our collective sacred unions. So healing that through the soul lineage, healing that through my own inner masculine, feminine, so that can reflect in my outer masculine and feminines, beyond gender, right? Yes. Okay. Whew. I think that's where I will land, moving from fear to freedom. Recognized, knowing that nobody has to be left behind, that we work through this together as the feminine is rising, that these wounds that are coming up to the surface are so important to be recognized. Anything that's tugging on your worthiness wound or your deserving wound right now is about coming back to this love, full, filling love without restriction, without avoidance, without constriction. No half-level loves. No fine, just fine loves. Overflowing. Feast on love. So, my inner sacred masculine and feminine energies honor your inner and outer sacred masculine and feminine energies. Oh, and go get the book. Go get the book. It's phenomenal. So many beautiful stories.